Hi, welcome to another episode of Adventures in Glass with Doug. That's me. Before we build today's construction, let me address something that I've had questions about and things that I have experienced too, and that is making repairs. It happens. You're dealing with glass. You have things that happen. You have weather events. You have dogs. You have kids. Things get knocked over, get banged around. And it happens. This is a piece that I particularly liked. It was a hanging piece that was part of a breakage I had from a storm. What happened was this part had been a margarita glass. The stem and the hanger broke off of that. Now that's going to be a tricky repair. I'm not really ready to try to cut a clean edge there on that stem and replace the top of that. So probably what I'm going to have to do is to take my razor blade and cut around the silicone rim of this and peel that apart. Now I've done a few other repair videos and I have a couple of pieces that I've worked on that I filmed. So I thought I'll quickly go through some of that and then we'll look at building today's glass sculpture. All right? And if you don't really want to watch too much of the repair video, just skip ahead to the part that you like. Hey, I appreciate you stopping by, whether you're a new visitor or you're a returning viewer. Make sure you subscribe, please. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a comment or two. I always appreciate those. And read the description. There are lots of things you can purchase if you would like to enhance what you're doing with your glass sculpture. So I'll be right back with the construction, but let me go through a couple of repair pieces for you, just so you know what that procedure is like. Okay. I don't know if you'll recall, but I had a really beautiful piece that was made out of some orange carnival glass and this glass globe that was part of a hummingbird feeder. And we had a really nice, I think it was a nice wine glass above it. It was a hanging piece that I had. Well, we had a really rough thunderstorm one night, and that came off of the hook that had been fastened, that had been hanging from, and landed on the deck and smashed into a bunch of pieces. It really was a stunning piece, and I'm sorry to see it go. You can check and see what the video looked like when I was putting that one together. It was talking about hanging glass. So I'm going to try to rescue the remaining piece of this, the hummingbird feeder globe, and see if I can reuse that. I'm going to try and reuse that in another piece if I can, because this orange globe is in good shape. What I have to do is get the rest of the glass that's been broken off of it, and that means breaking through the silicone seal. Best thing to do is to take a razor blade and try to find your way in between the glass pieces. As I mentioned before, this is one of the reasons why I like silicone. It lets me do this. Unfortunately, breakage occurs, accidents happen, and if you find yourself with a piece that has broken, don't fret. You can probably make repairs. And there we have it, the broken pieces and the globe that I can clean up and reuse for something else. I really hated to lose that carnival glass piece. will. So once again, I can take a razor blade, clean off the old silicone, and get ready to reuse. As you can see, we've got a couple of these pieces that are in for repairs. After all, accidents happen when you're dealing with glass. This bowl needs to be fastened up here, again, reattached, because that was the base stem to this vase, flipped over. And then this piece, we lost the top of that, and along with the glass sculpture that was on top of that. So we're going to take and remove this using a razor blade. I've got my gloves just to be careful. What you want to do is go around the silicone seam, cut into that until you can get yourself under the layer of silicone. Now, after doing your best to scrape out the silicone edge and trying to wedge under that, if you don't have much success, I would suggest you get a thinner blade. The utility knife blades are a little thicker. If you get a normal double-edged blade, and if you try to find at least a spot where you can get started, this takes some care, but if you can get it wedged in the right spot and get yourself a small hammer, put safety glasses on please, and be very careful. You might be able to tap that into the silicone edge, which I managed to do, and then carefully work your way around the silicone seal. Again, it depends how well you put down a bead of silicone, and eventually there she goes. So we removed that piece. We're going to have to clean this off and get it ready for a new topper. And again, that's not hard. I use the same idea of a razor blade to scrape up the remaining silicone. So we need to clean that up and restore the top. On the green piece, shouldn't have much to do on that. It's just a matter of removing the remnants of the glue that was used between these two pieces. Well, I've decided I can give this one a little extra pop that it didn't have by taking a few of these blue glass beads and putting them in the center. Why not? Okay. Okay, that repair is finished. It can be over there to dry. Okay, my second repair is done. So you can see that you can take some of your pieces that get damaged in the winter or after a storm, or in a case of, you know, some dogs or kids or others who kind of bang into it. You can make the changes, and actually you can sometimes end up with something that's maybe a little more interesting than what you started with. So, as promised, let's talk about what we're going to do in today's sculpture. I'm using some blue pieces, some of which have been in the collection a while and in the inventory, and others are relatively new. What do I have? Well, the base I'm going to use is this blue vase, which is really quite heavy. The base piece here is a pretty solid piece of glass. So even though it's narrower at the bottom, I think that'll work well for me because it has a lot of weight to it. And again, it's thrifted, and you know, I notice there's a little bit of a chip up here toward the top, but this appears to be glass that was colored as it was being manufactured rather than something that's had a tint applied to it afterward. I think the same thing with this particular vase. It appears to be truly cobalt blue glass that has not been tinted. This plate I found, which is kind of cool. I found a couple of those and actually a bowl. They've got sort of a cobalt blue swirl through them. So I know that that's part of the color of the glass. A ceramic ball, if you will, and a star-shaped, I've actually found a couple of these before, a star-shaped candle holder, votive, but that I know, even though it's pretty much the same cobalt blue, I know that this one has had a coating applied to it because the base, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, the base has peeled off when I very carefully tried to take the price sticker off of it. So that's a film of blue that is peeled off, and I'm going to have to be careful with that when I use the silicone to make sure that it's not going to just peel off where I apply the silicone. But I also am going to be aware of the fact that I'm going to kind of need to hide that part of it somewhere in the design too. So just things to be aware of. So I did take time to clean all these pieces ahead of time, so I know they're ready to be worked. You know, in looking at a piece like this, you can, since it's got some color to it, I would leave it alone, but you can also think in terms of adding some little fairy lights inside, that sort of thing, battery operated ones, if that's what you would want to do. I'm not going to use it on this piece, but it can be done. I think what we're going to do here is that will sit nicely inside this vase, so there's going to be good contact there, so I like that. And then I think I'm going to take this vase and put it on top because it also fits very nicely in that diameter. And this is probably going to be an indoor piece. You could put it out in the garden or outside. Just be aware when you have these basins, they'll collect leaves and seeds and various things, and you'll have to clean them from time to time. Just be aware of that. Okay, so let's get those two steps done first. And by now, if you are a returning visitor or you've just begun to check out my videos, you'll know that the adhesive that I use is 100% silicone. Now this comes in different packaging from time to time. I use the GE version of it. Sometimes the tubes are black, sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're red. And the only difference I can find is sometimes they have different drying times, and but otherwise they're 100% silicone. I like it. It's easy to work with and to change up. As you can see from the repairs that I made, it allows me to be a little more flexible than you would with epoxy. Okay, we're going to put a bead around this. Okay, my next step is going to be to take this vase and invert it, put it on top here. So for that, I'm going to put a rim of caulk. And here's what I was talking about with some of this tinting. You know, that's going to flake up, so I'm going to make sure that I don't want to get around to the sides where you'll see it, but I'm going to try to make sure with my razor blade that I've taken that off the adhesive surface so that I'm not peeling up. You know, otherwise my silicone would be nicely attached to that blue coating, but the blue coating wouldn't be attached to the glass and that would pop off. So that's something you need to be aware of sometimes. Doesn't often happen, but it can. Okay, so I'm going to put my bead of caulk Okay, so there we have a cobalt blue piece that comes up from a vase base that's nice and sturdy, ends in this nice decorative ball on top. I think it's not extravagant, but I think it looks pretty good. There you have it.